And that's when I told him, hey, why don't you try getting my good side? Oh, hello there.
He has no good side, yeah.
Aww.
Okay, I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
That's me.
All right, and welcome to Drunk Doctor Who, episode number 158.
Wherein we discuss the
158th story of Doctor Who,
Curse
of
Fenric.
Ooh.
That's right.
This is the DVD, but this DVD came out after the Blu-ray, so we've watched it on Blu-ray. If you notice, the DVD is not even opened yet.
Yeah.
Because
that's a collector's item now, unopened.
Actually,
they extra for that.
It is. Yeah, actually it is.
Where are we drinking today, Heather?
I have Captain Morgan rum.
I have a virgin rum and Diet Coke.
As you do. Some days you just don't want to drink. I don't
always drink Diet Coke.
Alright, anyway.
So this is the one that we referenced earlier as being a fan favorite, really popular one.
Yes, this is Sylvester McCoy's, by far, heralded as his best serial and his most popular serial.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love me some Norse mythology.
Oof, tons of it. Alright, so you have Ultima machines, basically the Enigma machine. You have Russians. You have zombies. You have vampires. You have the possible end of the world.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what more could you want?
It's an action-packed, every single episode, yeah.
Yeah,
we're back to those classic cliffhangers of, oh
no. Okay, seriously. Okay. You got the Brits, the Russians. There's four corners. Brits, Russians, Dr. Ace, and Fenric. Yeah. And the zombies and the monsters.
And the interplay between all is really good.
Yeah. It's really, really well written. Okay. It would have been at least 8 episodes in the 60s. It probably would have been 7 episodes in the early 70s. Those several stories by Pertwee that were 7 episodes long.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Even with Tom Baker, it would have been at least 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. This goes by at a 4-episode clip, and there's pieces missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, how all the women in the secretary pool end up as vampires. It just
kind of showed them panicking at the door, and then it kind of cuts, and we're left to assume what happened.
It's the same thing for the Russian and Bates. At the end, it's like there's so much that's not explained, not shown, not even hinted at, Yeah.
Even the first 2 vampire girls, they just showed up like that.
Well, once they were taken down by the curse.
Taken down in Paradise City. Girls are pretty. Please take me home.
Anyway, this is the penultimate story of the original run of the show. Mm-hmm. There's one more, number 159, which is called Survival. Ironically enough, Survival was the show ending serial, yeah.
And then you're telling me about the ones that didn't air that were part of the original run?
Yes and no. Okay. You asked if there were episodes that didn't air during the original run but were part of the original run.
Yes.
The answer is yes and no. Shada, which is the...
It's always the best answer.
Yes and no. Shada, which is the 6 episodes that were not finished thanks to a production strike.
Mm-hmm. The writers again?
No, actually, I think production crews. But it was
always strike. How come that's the only industry that ever goes on strike?
No other industries go on strike.
Like Starbucks? Doesn't end well for other industries usually.
It depends on the industry and the situation, but usually...
Strike.
Yeah, usually you need a union and an accreditation, to make it work. And even then it may not work.
They're a nurses union?
I hope not.
Nurses go on strike sometimes.
They're one of the few people I should hope would never go on strike. Because people need...
What happens?
People need triage,
They just let the doctors do all their work.
The doctors can't handle all the work.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to you, nurses. The doctors can't handle all the work. All right. Anyway, let's roll it back a bit. Okay. So this should have easily. Okay. Answer your question about the stuff. Yeah. In the old stuff, there was one serial that was not completed because of an entertainment strike. Mm-hmm. It was later completed by animations, with the original people doing the voices for the animations. Oh. So Tom Baker and Ramona 2 did their actual voices in the animations. Yeah.
Later on?
Yeah. The numbers... Okay, the Shada has never been aired in the United Kingdom. So the BBC does not count it as part of the numbers for Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah. Do you count it?
Yes and no. Okay, I personally would count it, yes, because it's part of the season 21, I think, box set, or season 20 box set or whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually in the box set, but it was never aired in the United Kingdom. But it was aired in Canada. The CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So, since it was broadcast, and it's included in the box set as part of the season, it was intended to be part of the season, I would count it, but the BBC does not. So we currently, they just aired the first episode called Robot Revolution of Series 15, Season 2, Series 15, of the second series of Shutagawa.
Yeah, cool.
Well... Yes and no. But he's only got an 8-episode series. Mm-hmm. So by the BBC's official count of the main show, not the side animations from the 10th Doctor, not any of the side shows, any of that, not third-party stuff. Once we get to the end, it'll be 892 episodes of Doctor Who. Once we get to the end of this season series in a month and a half, 2 months.
You watched all those?
All that have been released in the U.S.
Nice.
Which means none of Shutagawa's, because none of them have been released in the U.S. Yeah. So everything except him.
Any announcements on the DVD release?
Nothing I think we haven't covered before.
Oh, okay.
But now they're actually... We'll see... Alright. Let's save some of that for at the end of the deal. Yeah, Doctor Who news, because there's a whole bunch of stuff intertwined in that. Here's a funny part. This stuff's permanent. What we say here is permanent. People can go back and look at what we said 6 months ago and go, oh, they were wrong. Or hey, maybe they were right. And it's kind of a track record that you build up over time. Huh. You know, on facts and on projections.
We're going to have our own Wikipedia page.
I doubt that will ever happen.
Pie charts.
I mean, who knows?
Graphs.
Who knows? But I have some predictions about the decline of the show as it got woker and stuff, and I've been borne out on that. And I have some predictions about I have had and still have some predictions about the DVD and Blu-ray line, that they wouldn't complete the old seasons until the stuff was animated, and they were going to try and get everything done by this point. And I've been borne out on a lot of that. I don't think it's worth going through and watching everything to figure out all of it. I don't think anybody's going to do that. But no, I was actually borne out on a good bit of that stuff. Now, was I wrong sometimes? Yes. Nobody's perfect, but yeah. But I know Doctor Who.
Yes, you do.
All right. Okay, anyway. Should have been 6 episodes. 6 episodes. No, wait. Okay, 6 episodes. And there was a lot of it that was fairly frenetic. But the interplay between the 4 factions is very interesting. And there's stuff going on. Undercurrents is the whole theme of everything. Mm-hmm. Undercurrents, dangerous undercurrents, and the undercurrents coming to the surface is a theme of everything. Oh, man. We don't even start off with the Doctor and Ace.
No, you start off with the Russians.
Russians, yeah.
Yeah, and they're speaking Russian, which we don't see the TARDIS circuit translate.
It's not there yet.
It's not there yet. And then later they switched to English.
They were supposedly all chosen because they do speak English.
Yeah. English only.
And you want to fit in by speaking English.
So they said, well, were they wearing disguise uniforms?
No.
Or
but let's say somebody's over the
Russian.
Let's say somebody's over the they're on a beach,
pendants.
and let's say somebody's over a sand dune, and they're not listening closely. They want to hear you talking about secret plans, but they'll hear English, and they won't worry about it. If they heard Russian, they won't worry about it.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag. Anybody speaking something that's non-English, non-Welsh, non-Gaelic in the United Kingdom at that point.
When I worked retail, I was stocking a shelf and I heard people talking, and then I thought I was having a stroke because I could understand every second or third word, and then every other word just sounded like gibberish. I was like, am I having a stroke? And they're speaking like this broken English, but they were Mennonites, so they're speaking whatever Mennonites speak.
Okay. There's a group here in Texas that are Mennonitic / Amish-ish that speak what's called Low German.
Low German.
Low German. It's not modern German. It's German from like 3 centuries ago. Or 4 centuries ago, called Low German. And they'll be the ones with the bonnets on their head for the ladies. And the very traditional dresses. And the men will be in very farmer-ish clothing, but they speak what's called Low German, and you will understand a little bit of it because English is a Germanic language, but you're not going to understand most of it unless you speak a bit of German.
They're speaking like a Spanglish version or something.
Kind of, yeah. It can be.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd hear like potato, blah 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 blah. I'd be like, am I having a stroke? Why can I?
Oh my gosh.
Because you're kind of not listening to it, but you're still hearing it. And then it catches your attention and you start listening to it and you're like...
Wait, what?
What's going on?
Hey, couple questions. How many deaths did we have in this incredibly World War II deathly serial?
13 on screen and a mount off screen.
And a what?
An amount off screen.
There were
I lost count after 6, but then there's like an entire regiment that was wiped out off screen. And,
yeah.
And then another entire population of water zombies melted.
And the vampire ladies, yeah. There's at least like 40 deaths off screen.
Some deaths.
Yeah. Well, it's set in World War II during the war. Mm-hmm. So the death count's going to be fairly high because it's war. Yeah. And you have all the different factions and the end of the world faction and Russians and Brits. And they are referred to, of course, as British during the serial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are other scandalous things like bare ankles and drawn-on pantyhose. During
the Second World War, back in the day, up until about the 60s to early 70s, proper women were supposed to wear pantyhose. You just did. And during the Second World War, especially in the United Kingdom, when you couldn't afford it, they drew on the pantyhose lines on the leg, which they showed the young ladies doing.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't afford pantyhose, but they were supposed to wear it, so they draw the lines on.
There's another scene I saw like that, where they're arguing about how high to draw the pantyhose line. He's like, oh, no one's going to see it all the way up there. She said, no, I'm going to wear a split skirt, keep going. And that was really scandalous because...
I don't remember that scene.
No, not in this. It was like from the Waltons or something.
The Waltons?
Maybe not. I can't remember where I saw this scene.
Little House on the Prairie?
Something like that. They're drawing on the cider house rules.
You ever seen the movie 1900?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't watch the first 1899. So I'd be lost.
No, 1900's a good movie, but it's not necessarily worthy of the list, despite having some major stars in it. It's kind of like Once Upon a Time in America.
You get that sometimes. You get some great stars and some pretty mediocre films. Or good films, but not amazing. Like, I just saw Joey Diaz in a children's film.
Who's Joey Diaz?
He's the guy that does he's on the Joe Rogan Experience sometimes.
Okay.
Podcast.
I've heard of and seen Joe Rogan. Yeah. I don't know Johnny Diaz or whatever.
Joey Diaz. He's a comedian.
Okay.
He's on the podcast sometimes. And he's in this children's dog movie. It's like, whoa, what's he doing there? Because you think of him as like a high-billing person, but...
True, but comedians end up in movies and TVs a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're A level, sometimes they're B level, sometimes they're C level.
That's where it's at. Residuals.
All right. Okay.
I wish I got residuals in my job.
Your job will pay residuals in heaven.
There you go.
All right. So episode 1, and like I said, there should have been at least 6 episodes. Open, but they did for this Doctor. They don't do anything longer than 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Opens up on some Russians, like 2 or 3
U-boats.
Small boats, rowboats, a little bit larger rowboats, but they're rowing into the Russians, into the UK's north side.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Vikings did forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one boat that we pay attention to because they lose the other boats in a fog.
Is it the underwater one? With the dragon mouth?
Well, no. First they had the regular rowboat coming in. No, not
I call them U-boats. But...
No, U-boat.
A U-boat's a submarine?
Yeah, it means underwater boat.
Oh.
It's a submarine. There's no U-boats here.
A boat. Above water boat.
A rowboat.
Our boat.
No, rowboat.
Okay.
Alright. And they established characters pretty quick. And what were the names of the Russians?
Prozorov, Soren, Kapitan Soren. Were there more?
Yes, there were more. There was about 10 or 12 Russians that were named.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like the lineage? I didn't write down.
No. They were given names like Volishnikov is not one of the ones in here, but stuff like that.
Prozorov.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
Kapitan Soren.
The Russians land. Oh God, this is gonna be a long episode. Okay, the Russians land, and they're like, "Where are the other boats?" Because there was one of 3 lands, and we're with that one boat. And they're like, "Well, we'll find them. They're up the coast." And so they go start searching for them. Mm-hmm. And there's that one great shot of the boat that we're following coming in under the overhang rock onto the beach, which was really great.
That was a good scene.
The cinematography on that was fantastic.
It was one of my finals in an art project. It was one of those overarching rock things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a really good version of that that's like a screensaver now.
Huh?
Anyway, so they pull up and they're speaking Russian, and finally the main guy goes, not the Capitan, the sergeant or something goes, "English only. We have to." He doesn't say we have to blend in, but that's the idea. English only from now on. They were all picked because they all know English, which is good, so they don't have to translate the whole time.
Yeah.
I love a good justification for that.
Those were some weird looking subtitles though.
Mm-hmm.
Dots. Lots of dots.
Okay. At that moment, the TARDIS arrives on a military base.
Whoosh.
Yeah. What was the name of the base?
I didn't write that down. Perryville?
Mm.
Near Perryville.
No. Alright, so the TARDIS arrives on a military base. Once again, World War II. And Ace is finally wearing
a proper
garb for the time.
Lady Lake.
Yeah.
She's in disguise.
She got the little hairnet.
And she's still carrying around like the 90s Ace jacket. The 80s Ace jacket.
Right, and the backpack with the Nitro 9 in it that the doctor doesn't want her to have.
But other than that, she's in proper attire.
Yeah.
in disguise.
So they decide to walk into this military base. Apparently, the doctor, once again, a scene we don't see, decided to go after this Professor, not Logan.
Judson?
Yeah, Judson.
Yeah.
We don't see the scene where he figures out he wants to meet this guy. We don't
just show up.
Yeah. Once again, the interior of the TARDIS is too dilapidated.
Oh.
And there wasn't enough time. So we don't see the scene where he's like, let me talk to this guy, or let me answer this distress call, let me figure this out. They just end up there. He knows where they are because she's in the garb. Mm-hmm. They just go directly in. And when they're met with the guards of this military base, a super secret military base, the doctor just blusters his way through.
Yeah, as he usually does.
Yeah, he's
not convinced that would work in real life.
You would be surprised at the places you could get into if you just acted like you own the place.
Yeah, but not a military base.
No, not necessarily a military base, but I'm talking about other places. Yeah. But yeah, well, things were probably a little more, less official and a lot more chaotic back in the 1940s than they are today.
Presence.
Yeah, force of will. Force of will. Yeah. So he just manages to get his way. He's looking for this Dr. Juden or whatever. Jensen. And he blusters his way to Jensen's office. And then, in a masterful stroke, because the doctor's like, I know everything that's going on, convinces Jensen that he's on his side by talking about the prisoner's dilemma. Mm-hmm. And just like, oh, you know what you're talking about. You know this stuff. And there goes, yes. And then Jensen wants to talk about it. The doctor fobs ace on him. Well, the doctor gets a typewriter in the letterhead of the war cabinet, types himself up a letter of accreditation, signs it with two hands, and apparently the signatures are good enough to be the Prime Minister's and the Minister of Defenses or something. Yeah. And when the guards show up, he presents that as a letter of accreditation.
The one lady sees him type it up, though.
Right.
She doesn't say anything about it.
No.
And she sees it, she takes special notice of him signing it with both hands at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And that was amazing. I think her name was Crane.
Yeah. You're right.
But yeah, so the doctor blusters his way onto the military base into the office of Judun, what's his name?
Judson.
Why can't I not remember that? Judson, and into accreditation and accommodations.
Yeah, show me to my room.
Yeah, show us our accommodations. And he does all that by pure chutzpah, you know?
Chutzpah.
Yeah.
Fuyo.
Balls.
Hiya.
Yeah. Basically, charisma and force of will. And so Judson is going to show him the Enigma machine, basically, the Ultima machine. And they're just like, tomorrow, we're tired. Mm-hmm. So they go to the barracks and they sleep for the night. We're continuing with the doctor being fairly dismissive of Ace.
Very much so. She chides him for it.
She does, and he doesn't even hear or listen. Yeah. But that's part of the build-up into the doctor being the special other one, which we never get to because this show was canceled before it happened.
Timeless child.
Yeah.
Did they not explore the other one in the new stuff? Like Rassilon and Omega.
Not unless you're trying to argue that the Timeless Child is the other one. Which you could argue that, but I think would be wrong, but you could argue that. But basically, I don't they never really touch upon it, but there's an argument to be made that you could shoehorn it into that.
Okay.
Shoehorn, good word. Alright. So in the meantime, you have the Brits and the Russians, and you've got this really nutbar guy. What's his name? Not Milhouse. Milliken or whatever?
Millington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain or?
Commander.
So the guy in charge of the base is Commander Millington.
He has like a Navy outfit on. Like an admiral's suit or something.
I don't know about that.
So maybe he's like
I don't know
ship
what
commander.
a British
on
admiral
sea.
suit looks like, but okay. He is in an office that is said to be the exact duplicate of the naval. Well, he might have been a naval suit for this reason. The naval Nazi command in Berlin.
Yes.
Because he's trying to think. Supposedly, he's trying to think like the Nazis.
Maybe that's what drove him batty.
I think he was driven batty by the desire to end the war. But yeah, he was trying to think like the Nazis, and he was reviewing all the pictures the Nazis would review, and he had Judson using the Ultima machine to decode all of the German Navy goings on.
The codexes? What do they call them? Transmissions.
Yeah, transmissions. And then they would intercept them and decode them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000 transmissions per minute. Per hour.
But to be fair, in the 1940s, just like I said, this is kind of a duplicate of the Enigma machine, and kind of stands in the place of that. Have you seen that movie with Cumberbatch about that?
Huh.
It's pretty good, actually. It's really good.
Cumberbatch is good. Cumberbatch.
He's good. The rest of the movie is good. Even Keira Knightley is really good in it. It's a really good movie, actually. Surprisingly, it's not the world's greatest material, but it's done with a lot of heart and it's done well. So
it's not boring. When you think it might be boring.
No, they hint on some things that are problematic. Cumberbatch's character, I can't think of his name at the moment, was gay, which at the time was illegal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Breaking into those gay bars.
Well, there weren't really gay bars back then, not in the 40s. And they touch on that. They touch on that a little, and it's fairly delicately done. It's not hammered in like some of the stuff these days. It's delicately done. But of course, most of it's about the camaraderie amongst the people trying to use the Enigma machine to break the German code.
Yeah.
And they finally do, and it's a pretty good movie, actually.
Cool.
Some really good spots in it.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Anyway, the Ultima Machine's kind of a copy of that for the purposes of the show. Because this was the 80s, 89. They're not willing to show some of this stuff until, what was that, the teens? 20 teens?
I guess so.
About the movie? Yeah.
Declassified.
Well, part of it's just British sensibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's still alive, let them be, you know? Don't do stuff about them until they've passed away.
Because then they can't sue you.
Sure, I guess that's part of it.
Smart.
It's more an American thought there. Alright, oh my gosh. So...
They sleep for the night.
The Doctor and Ace decide to go to the church to...
check out the...
Oh, they were invited to see not only the machine, but the...
carvings, the
runes. The runes that Judson was trying to decipher in the basement of the church. There they meet the two young ladies, Phyllis or something like that, and I forget the other one. Their names are only mentioned briefly, once or twice.
I don't think I got their names.
I think one was like
the vampire ladies?
Phyllis or something. Yeah, they turned into vampires later. But they're the...
Spoiler.
and I can't remember the name of the older lady they're staying with. Billeted means to be put in there for a place.
Miss Hardacre.
Hardacre?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Good name for her. So they meet...
She's given a good finger wagging to
scolding,
to the vicar Wainwright about his sermon.
Mm. Wait, Wainwright? No, Willington?
Wainwright.
Oh, and then Millington.
Vicar.
Yeah. So she's giving a scolding to the vicar of the parish, whose father was the vicar of the parish, whose grandfather was the vicar of the parish. Yeah.
We're for sure going to win this war.
Yeah. And she's
takes no side.
Right is on our side. Right. Once again, there's so much intertwined into this. Mm-hmm. It should have been longer just to explore all of it.
Yeah.
And
Ace made quick friends with those two girls.
Yes, because she's from London, they're from London, they're about the same age, and the plot makes it necessary.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the vicar uses the doctor's presence as a way to get out of it. Good day, my lady.
Yeah.
Shows the doctor in, down to Judson.
Huh? Judson.
Yeah. I'm so bad with names. All right.
Me too. That's why I have to write them down.
Oh, just as a note, Judson is in a wheelchair. He had an accident at some point and apparently needs help getting up and down into the catacombs under the crypt, which is where Mrs. Crane comes in, and she keeps referring to him as an invalid. And at one point he goes, "I'm not an invalid," which would be somebody who's basically bedridden.
Invalid.
Right. Invalid is invalid. Just one of those words where we have different pronunciations, but the meaning is kind of close. Yeah. He says, "I'm not an invalid, I'm a cripple," which is perfectly accurate.
Yeah. He's only a paraplegic.
Yes, only a paraplegic.
So he got these up here.
Yeah.
Which if he worked out, his upper body, he could probably get around a lot better.
Let me explain to you the lack of ADA in the United Kingdom in the 1940s. Yeah, he couldn't get around. That's the way you're thinking. Anyway. So, Ace is outside talking to the girls. Ace suggests they meet up at Maine's Point, which is 2 miles at the time. By Ace's time, it would have been 2 kilometers, but in the 40s, it was 2 miles.
Yeah.
The doctor goes down, and he first talks with the vicar a little bit, and then he talks with Judson, and he's like, "Oh, 9th century, eh?" They're in a crypt, and Judson's trying to translate all of these runes that the Norse has left there, and the doctor's like, "Oh, 9th century." Because they would have used this many characters by this century and this many characters by this century.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, you know more about than I do." He's like, yeah. And I think finally Ace comes down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they decide they're going to... once again, this whole story is very frenetic. Very frenetic. And the doctor and he leaves... Doctor and Ace leave.
It shows the two girls and them wanting to go to Maiden's Point to meet up with Ace. And Miss Hardacre's not a fan of that at all. She says,
"Right. You know why women go to Maiden's Point? Because they have evil in their hearts. They want to see the other girls who had evil in their hearts who went there." And
can you hear their cries?
Yeah, and they go there. And you think we're missing a scene where so many scenes missing in this serial, but you feel there's a scene missing where they go, "You know what? Let's go ahead and do this. Screw it. Let's do this, and let's wear our bathing suits under our clothes." Yeah, we're missing that scene. In the meantime, the Russians have scouted out the basics of the base.
They had bathing shoes too. which was weird.
Oh, the ladies?
Put hair nets on their feet. Bathing suits were weird back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Billowy.
Yeah.
Multiple layers.
Yeah, I think...
Everything you don't want in a bathing suit.
Dick Van Dyke and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah. But then ladies go out and they go to swim. Ace is there. And she's like, swimming is dumb. I don't want to swim. Swimming is stupid. Because the doctor told her not to go in the water.
Undercurrents. Besides, look at the sign, dangerous undercurrents. And they have a good laugh at her. And then, so, Ace trails off.
They go in the water. Ace trails off. She's looking around. She finds a dead Russian.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do. The doctor's gone back to the church. To the chapel. And he's talking with the vicar. And then Ace shows up. Is this when the vicar is reading from the book that has the inscriptions?
The book, right.
Or is that later?
I think that's now, right? What's that you have in your... He's holding. What's he holding? Is where it ends. I don't remember how it is.
No, okay. So, Ace finds the dead Russian on the shore. The girls had looked at a piece of metal that had been wrought in a weird way. The Russian looked at a piece of metal like that, threw it into the brink.
Yeah.
But then Ace screamed, is like, Doctor, look at this. She finds a dead Russian. The Russian has one of those pieces of metal.
Yeah.
The doctor approaches him, and then like 5-6 Russians surround them with their guns up, and they're like, okay. End of episode 1.
What's he holding? He's holding the silver thing.
He's holding a silver thing that apparently was wrought by... we find out later from creatures underwater who can do that underwater.
That's what Captain Soren says.
Yeah.
What's he in end of episode 1? At gunpoint.
Like I said, should have been 6 episodes. Alright, moving to the next episode. Immediately...
What are these Russians up to?
Well, have they found the...
They're looking for...
Well, no. I think they've already found the deal in Russian that says what their secret mission is.
Oh, yeah,
the sealed orders.
Yeah. They're looking for it is on the other boat. But got lost.
Right. He died, and they pulled him up.
That's what he was holding. What's he holding?
Well, no. Okay, so the one guy died. Where are our secret orders? You've got our secret orders, the Russians, and our sealed orders. And he was, no, because he saw
the doctor's trying to talk to him.
Well, that's later. But first, the doctor, I think, found the orders on the shore. He's like, look, Ace, what is this? She's like, Greek? He's like,
Russian.
Russian. He trills his R's so much, even when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the doctor and Ace convince the Russians to let them go.
As you do.
Yeah. Because the doctor's like, he's like, so they have the what they should know, right? And they'd already found out about the basic translation of the runic inscriptions that told the story of what was coming. Mm-hmm. And so the doctor, when they capture him, he starts talking in Russian, and B, the stuff that they're talking about, like, we will go to the north and we will take the treasure with us. And he's saying this in Russian. Yeah. And the Russian sergeant's like...
Quoting the little pamphlet thing.
Yeah, well, that and what the vicar had.
Oh, yeah.
And the Russian guy's like, we'll take him to the captain. Yeah. And he had a fixed bayonet on the Russian rifle. He's like, all right, we'll take him to the captain. And if you looked, all those Russians' rifles were accurate because they had the bayonet on them. Where you could do that. And if you closed it, you could still hold your hand there.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really cool. So they get taken to the captain, Sordokov? Soren.
Capitan Soren.
Soren. Alright. Too close to Sauron for my taste.
Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take him to Soren, and he's like, we don't kill you, or we kill you because you know too much. And the doctor's like, there's a third choice. You let me go talk to the Brits, and we'll try to arrange a meeting. And he's like, you're crazy. And the doctor's like, this is the only way. And finally, there's a sergeant. He's like, no, you shouldn't. They know too much. And finally, the captain says, he who risks the most wins the battle.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. He lets the Doctor and Ace go with an understanding that there is an alliance between the Russians, the Doctor, and Ace to try and stop the bloodshed between them and the Britons. And the Doctor may know it yet, but we don't know it yet. You know, the evil forces out here in the water.
Yeah.
Then in the meantime, the girls run back into the water. The two from London that are not Ace. And they get turned into essentially mermaids or sirens.
Yeah.
But with vampiric tendencies, with these really long fingernails and hemovores? Hemovores?
Like hemoglobin.
H-A-E.
Carnivores.
Hemovores?
Hemoglobin. They like blood.
Right. Alright, is it H-A-E? Hemovores?
Yes.
Okay. So,
maybe
in older English, the A and the E consist of one vowel.
Yeah.
Do you
like
know
aether.
Right, where the A and the E are together.
Yeah.
Yeah. In modern English, not so much. But that's how it would have been pronounced, hemovores, with the A and the E together.
Hemovores.
Or hemovores, yeah. But in the modern English, no, they're separate. Anyway, so there's so much going on in this. Okay. Alright, so Millington is getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And he's like telling his subordinates to destroy every radio on base.
Chess sets.
And every chess set on base. And you're like, okay, I understand the radio maybe, but what the hell's with the chess sets?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, we find out later on. And he's got a chess set in his office, in the Nazi-esque office. And all the chess sets are destroyed, except the mother of Aubrey, Dunham?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Yeah.
The last name is...
Kathleen.
Okay. I think Dudham, or Dudman?
Dudman?
Yeah, I think Dudman. She managed to sneak a chess set in, or keep one, which were also not distinctly shown.
No, they didn't show that at all.
Once again, one of the many things we are not shown in this serial.
Ace just happened to see it off screen, off camera.
And she mentions it later. Yeah. Okay, so... Okay. The Doctor... Oh, man. When do they go back to the church?
They want the Russians to steal the Ultima machine with Fenric ooze.
The Brits do.
Yeah.
Okay, so, alright, they do go back to the church. This is where, the Doctor and Ace go down into the crypt.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's looking around. And apparently some new runes have appeared.
Yeah.
On part of the crypt that weren't there.
Fresh.
And these appeared when Judson read aloud the vicar's grandfather's translation of the other runes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're following this, you're doing really well. All right. Yeah. So there's so much going on in this. It's crazy. Then the doctor in the crypt is like, ooh, somebody's coming. They hide. The doctor and Ace. And then somebody in the background goes to the right. And Doctor's like, Ace is like, where'd they go? The doctor starts hitting on panels, and then out comes Millington, and he's got a pistol, and he's like, and Doctor's still tapping along, and Ace is like, Professor, what? Professor, what? He turns around, and Millington's like, I think this is what you're looking for. There's like, oh. So Millington, being your stereotypical bad guy, starts describing the plan to the hero.
Exposition.
Yeah. He takes the doctor into this area inside the crypt, which is secret, and where they are
manufacturing ooze.
More accurately, they are distilling the essence of Fenric into, well, what's basically a chemical weapon to kill people.
It makes some Ninja Turtles with.
But there are bombs and bombs and bombs and bombs and bombs of this one on the back end, yeah. And there's the
little hand grenade sized ones.
Yeah, and there's the wall that's, you can tell they're real bombs, and there's what they're set on that you can tell they're just a deal. 4K was not particularly nice to the serial in terms of the special effects. He's like, look what we can do. We will kill all the Nazis. And he throws a little bit of stuff into a deal with chickens, and all the chickens die.
Yeah. Poor chicken.
Yeah, Dark's like, no! But they're talking about the ancient Nordic mythologies. And he says, when they come, when the Dark One comes, and the wolves, the Dark's like, oh, and the gas that will eat at the root of the tree of ash, which is Yggdrasil. Yeah, Yggdrasil. And I'm talking about Fenric and all that. And it gets really deep into Norse mythology. And so this guy, partly because this cheeses off his cracker, and probably because he's such a fanatic, instantly leaves the doctors on the side.
Yeah.
Takes the doctor on this tour, shows the doctor pretty much everything, and tells the doctor pretty much everything. And the doctor was like, okay. At that point,
the vampiric sisters come for Miss Hardacre.
Yep, they kill her. Once again, lots of deaths.
Why do you think they turned into vampires, not the soldiers?
The soldiers turned into zombies.
Yeah, just the women turn into vampires and the men turn into zombies.
You could argue in this particular serial that, well, you could go with a gender gap on it, or you could go with the fact that, as Miss Hardacre believed, or whatever, their hearts were less than pure, and they would embrace it more easily.
But all of the room of the soldier women also turned into vampires.
Okay, that leans more into the gender scenario, where the men turn into zombies and the women turn into vampires.
It's weird.
It is.
And some just die.
Right, and none of this is explained or shown, which is yet again why there should have been 6 episodes.
They turn into what they need to for plot convenience sake.
There's always an argument to be made for that in Doctor Who. Alright, so... Okay, gosh, where are we?
You're too late, Doctor.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Oh my gosh.
Dead chickens.
Dead chickens. Eventually, the Doctor and Ace escape from down there. Through the catacombs or whatever. And we start getting a good inkling of how evil the Curse of Fenric is.
Yeah.
Because the two vampire girls who had made friends with Ace previously show up, seduce a soldier into the water, and kill him.
Yeah. And
drown him with other zombies in the water. They killed their previous patron.
Didn't they come after Wainwright, the vicar?
Yes. Is that episode 2? Or episode 3?
I don't know.
Okay. But let's see. So Ace.
I think it's at the end of episode 2.
Okay. So Ace accidentally, or not accidentally,
You're too late, Doctor. And then episode 3 is the show of faith thing.
Right. But in episode 2, Judson? Judson. He and Ace or Ace ends up in the hut and gives away to Judson the fact that the one bit is a logic puzzle for a toy, and the other one is a logic puzzle for an actual computer.
Mm-hmm.
Justin's like, oh my god, because he'd gone back down and saw the new runes, and he was like, why didn't they translate this one? And he's like, it's always the idiot of the family that takes the cloth. Shows a real condescension towards the translation of the runes. But he goes in and he's putting it into the Ultima machine, the Enigma machine, whatever, to translate the runes. And Millington has got it in his head. This is it. And he runs into the room and is like, do it, change this. And he has to change the number of rotors on the machine, and he has the lock that does whatever it does on that.
Yeah.
And he's like, do it. And the Doctor and the vicar and Ace are walking around, and the Doctor's like, oh, we're good as long as he doesn't figure out what that stuff means. And Ace is like, what? Why didn't you tell me? He's like, what? And then they all run into the room where they hold the
They're trying to
machine.
pull the power button.
Yeah, they're trying to... first they're trying to stop it normally, and then they're trying to pull the power source, and they can't.
You're too late, Doctor.
Yeah.
End of episode 2.
Yeah. Wellington? Looks at the Doctor. You're too late, Doctor. And boom, end of episode 2. And in the meantime, all these creatures have started coming out of the water. And it's like, oh, this is a bit more supernatural than I expected.
Broke the chains of Fenric with the logic puzzle. How does that work? Because they translated runes?
Partly, the rest of it not explained.
Oh.
Because it wasn't 6 episodes.
I never got the logic puzzle thing with the runes and the translating it sets them free. And
so you have the Russians still, the Brits, the Doctor and Ace, and now you have a very large supernatural element going on, which Wellington seems to be a part of at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, Judson has no freaking clue what's going on.
No.
So the Doctor's like, stop this machine. And in episode 3, they leave, and they're trying to stop what's going on, and all of the zombies and witches and everything are coming out, and there's so many people dying.
Yeah.
I mean...
Dark.
Yeah, it's very dark, very dark. Did you have any questions on episodes 1 and 2?
Oh, we covered most of them. Popular cereal, speaking another language, Russian North mythology, where the Russians up to, let the Russians steal the ultimate machine with the Fenric ooze.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the sisters become vampires and not the soldiers? That brings us to episode 3.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to use the restroom if you could keep going. Like I said, longer podcast. There's too much going on in the serial. I mean, not too much. It's a great serial.
Yeah.
It's a great plot, great acting, great story. Just, man, it should have been 6 episodes. They just didn't have the episodes back then.
Yeah. So there we have Vicar Wainwright. He's walking along, right?
Oh, gosh,
He gets ambushed by some vampirics. The 2 girls with the long fingernails.
And the doctors explained to him it's about faith.
Yeah.
Not about holy symbols.
So he's struggling with his faith. He says, stay back, and he holds up the Bible. And they're like, you've lost faith in that long ago when the bombs started falling. And he goes, no, but I still have faith in good. And then they're like, you don't have faith that there's good in yourself. It's just this weird back and forth where they're arguing. And apparently they prove to him his own lack of faith, so he doesn't create the mental barrier. But then the doctor comes in to save the day. He goes, be gone, and he does the mental faith barrier, which drives back the vampires and the zombies. So they save Vicar Wainwright. Then some other stuff happens. None of which I'm going to remember. But at some point, Ace chides the doctor for not answering questions. So we talked about how the doctor is this mysterious third being that's possibly set up the Time Lords like Rassilon and Omega. And so as the episodes have been going on, Ace is catching on to Doctor, you know what's going on here. You knew what this was when it started, and you don't answer questions, and you don't tell us or warn us what's going on. And the doctor's just kind of, fluffs her off. She's like, well, what is going on? And then he kind of gives a little bit of exposition about the nature of evil. And this is evil incarnate, and, it's not necessarily Fenric. It's just a name that we gave him, but it's just evil. It's reincarnating. And then other things happen, but I'm totally lost at this point, to be honest with you. So, how's your weekend been? Good? You guys been doing alright? It's been a strange one here. We're getting all sorts of different weather changes. Like, one day it's snowing 6 inches. The other, it's like 80 degrees, hot and cold. A lot of people are getting sick. That's been going around. I've been staying healthy so far, knock on wood. Keep that going. There's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Don't remember what. Show of faith. He chides the doctor for not answering questions. We play the contest again, Time Lord. So Fenric is manifesting in
Hey, where are you?
Talking about Ace chiding the doctor for not answering questions. Being this mysterious third one with Rassilon and Omega.
Well, the other one doesn't even come up during this. Well, I have my cell phone.
It's the fact that he knows what's going on and knew what was going on the whole time and wouldn't tell Ace anything.
And there's a drastic scene where that comes into play, and she's like, why don't you knew this, why don't you tell me? Am I stupid? And he's like, that's not it. But he doesn't get to explain because something happens.
Yeah.
And
what was that thing that happened?
I don't remember.
Zombies, right?
I think so.
Probably.
Lots of zombies in this. Lots of vampires.
We also talked about Wainwright being ambushed by the vampires and him losing faith and not being able to create that mental barrier.
Well,
and then the doctor shows up and saves him by...
Yes.
So it's right after that scene, I think, that Ace chides the doctor, and then he gives a little exposition about the nature of evil and how we call it Fenric, but it's really just evil in general that's manifesting.
Well, or Wainwright calls it Fenric.
Yeah.
But it's evil, it's been evil since the dawn of time and all that, yeah.
And apparently, there's a lot of stuff not explained, but he locked it away since the...
Right, apparently he locked away the spirit of Fenric, or what we call Fenric, for 17 centuries because Fenric couldn't understand a chess problem.
Yeah.
And to be fair, chess was not the same. It's not been the same the entire 17th centuries, although it's mostly been the same for the entire 17th centuries.
There's a few balance patches that came out.
En passant was not a thing until 250 years ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know about castling when that came into play, but to be fair, for the purposes of the final deal that they have here, it could have been actually the same for the entire 17th centuries.
Huh.
For the puzzle that they have here.
What about the one where the pawn moves 2 spaces on its first move? Is that a newer one?
And then another pawn adjacent to it captures it by moving behind it.
No, en passant.
That's en passant. And that was created about 250 years ago by a French king.
A French king?
Mm-hmm.
Made a patch to chess rules?
Correct, because he was king, and en passant means in passing in French. And he made up that rule.
So he was losing. He's just like, I'm going to make up this new rule here that I get to...
Yes! What part of absolute monarchy do you not understand?
Just making up new rules.
Yes.
Was that the same guy that made up castling?
I think castling was earlier, and I don't know where that came from as much. But the particular thing that was set up in the Doctor Who episode, particular situation, could have possibly been there for the 1700 years.
Yeah. Good deal. So then the Doctor talks about, this evil being locked away. Evil incarnate, not necessarily Fenric, just evil in general.
From the dawn of time, and there was good and evil somehow survived, and then there was chaos, and he gets into this diatribe that needed 2 more minutes to finish out, but once again...
But they get interrupted
too many...
zombies.
The episodes are too short, there's not enough of them.
Now, what happens after that? When does Fenric come around? We play the contest again, Time Lord.
That's at the end of episode 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Doctor... Zombies show up. Russians run away from zombies. Remember that part? They're on the beach, the zombies show up and the Russians run away from zombies.
Save your ammo.
Save your ammo. There's British people. The one Russian goes into the British camp. I want to talk to you officer to officer.
Yeah.
And Millington,
yeah.
Millington's like,
captures him.
Arrest him. All the other guys run away. Arrest him. And he's like, what did I do?
Yeah.
He didn't have a white flag, but he was pretty close to under the white flag.
And I thought they wanted the Russians to
steal the Ultima machine. Yeah. They did, but everything's going off the hinges. So, and Millington's like, it's all under control, Doctor. Yeah. And at that point, the Doctor... okay, so you have Russians coming in. There's like 3 of them left. There's 1 in prison. You have about like 6 Brits left, including Millington and what's her name? The lady, the nurse who helped the cripple.
Kathleen? Oh, Crane?
Crane. You have Kathleen. You have a pool of the secretaries who are listening on the stuff. And you have a few, like maybe 6 British guys. And there's a knockdown, drag-out fight between the Brits and the Russians. Once again, we don't see the scenes, but they set up sandbag embarkments. Against the other bullets, yeah.
Green ooze grenade.
Oh, man.
Cam of Russians?
Yeah.
Or was it the Russians that threw the green ooze grenade?
No, it was the Brits because they had access to it. Because that was supposed to be the final, I don't want to say the final solution, but that was supposed to be, the final remedy or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that's going on. And, okay, so the doctor finally gets in with Ace, I think, back into the room with the Ultimate Machine is.
Ultimate Machine. It strikes Judson with lightning.
Right. We're starting to... Okay, so the Ace found the vial, the flask.
Yeah.
The ancient Oriental
the
flask.
Russians discarded, and then they walled up the British.
No, not the Russians, the British, yeah.
Discarded it, and then walled up that one entrance.
Alright. We've skipped over so much happened here. We skipped over a couple scenes where the bad guys and the good guys are in the cavernous tunnels underneath, going back and forth, and the vampires and everybody are going for the doctor. And
this about that.
Yeah, this Russian guy manages to walk through his belief in communism through all the bad guys. These other 2 go and they're killed probably because of the vampires and probably because of Millington locking him in against the iron doors, iron shutters as he calls them.
Yeah.
What a
and then they're watching the zombies meld through the
doors. Yeah. Okay, so the doctor finally comes into the Ultima room with Ace, and he's like, "You gotta stop this! You gotta stop this!" And lightning's coming, all this stuff's happening. And lightning hits Judson. Yeah, falls out of his wheelchair, and he turns. So Millington's like, "It's done. The beasts have beat the gods. We are here, and it will be as determined." And there you go.
Nice.
Judson stands up. He was a cripple before.
Yeah.
And his eyes are glowing green, the same green as the Fenric stuff.
Ooze.
Yeah.
Ooze green.
And it's like, ooh. End of episode 3.
And then
it's
they
like,
turn brown.
oh my gosh.
We play the contest again, Time Lord. But
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Which, it seems like this is referencing an older villain, right?
Which one?
I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think it is. But he talks about pre-Cybermen.
It's not even implied or inferred. It's actually almost stated that they've met before, and the doctor beat him with the chess problem he couldn't figure out.
But we didn't see that. Wasn't an episode.
Once again, the other one.
Okay.
But once again, the doctor's being bigger than he normally is at this point. God, I hate the tongueless child. Alright. Any questions for episode 3?
Nope. I think we got it. Why does the doctor react the way he does and treat Ace the way he is? Very short, not answering questions.
Once again, you're leading into the other one, mythology and stuff. After his first series, his other 2 series, he does this. I don't care for it, but we never get the realization of it. Because he only had 2 more series.
Huh. That's it.
Seasons.
Episode 3 questions.
Okay.
I'll grab a refill.
Alright, you get a refill. Oh gosh, episode 4. Should have been 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Alright, how does Fenric know the Doctor? Apparently they met before 1700 years in the past. The Doctor managed to capture him in the Shadow Realms, Shadow Universes, because Fenric could not figure out a chess problem the Doctor showed him. Alright. Okay. More people die. Lots of more people die. Once again, wartime episode. It's gonna happen. Extra supernatural stuff. Gonna happen. So the Doctor runs with Ace. The Fenric now Lutsen. Come on, bad with names. Judson, now Fenric, calls upon the Ancient One of the Deep, another of the Wolves of Fenric. This Ancient One shows up, and he's very Cthulhu-esque, very, very water tentacly. Something from the deep, just not great. Swamp Thing-ish, not exactly. The bargain basement thing of Swamp Thing. So, this thing comes to the call of Fenric. Fenric's like, okay, I want you to take this stuff of Fenric, I want you to put it in the ocean, I want you to kill all the humans. You will be supreme once you kill all the humans. It sounds a lot like Bender. Okay. Alright, then the Doctor manages to show up and talk to the creature of the deep, and he's like, okay, look, you're going to inherit this earth in millions of years. Don't do what he's asking you to do, because you'll only be dooming your own future if you do this now. Because mankind will do it to himself, and he pulled you from the future, and you'll just be destroying yourselves. In the meantime, this creature goes to Fenric. He's like, what do you want me to do? Kill all the humans. Okay, well, how do you want me to do it? And what do you want about the other hemophores, the other creatures that want blood? He's like, Fenric character's like, you know how to kill them. So this from the deep creature puts to his mind and kills all the vampires and stuff.
All the vampires.
Yeah. And all
really
the zombies.
You see them die Ark of the Covenant style.
We see at least the two young ladies from London. We see them die. We don't see the others die, but we see them just go boom when they were approaching to try and kill Ace.
Yeah.
And they die.
Good timing.
We assume all the others die.
Why did Fenric order Cthulhu to kill the rest of the zombies and vampires?
Because once he took over, they were no longer necessary to his plan.
I think soldiers... Okay.
Evil kills evil, in as much as good kills evil.
Huh. I think evil's better at it, actually.
Very possibly, yeah. Okay, so... Oh my gosh, there's so much in here we've missed. We haven't even talked about Ace's mother being the little baby she liked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, Kathleen.
Yeah, Kathleen.
Is secretary.
Right.
Who has a baby.
Dunman or whatever.
What?
Dunman.
Oh, her husband, yeah.
Yeah, the surname is Dunman, yeah. But, she's this little baby that Ace loves.
Turns out he wasn't such a dud man.
Oh. Anyway, so baby Ace loves, turns out to be her mother. She hates the name, and Audrey, and turns out to be her mother. She gets her grandmother and her mother on a get the heck out of here, Jeep.
So Fenric, the Great Evil, said he's been playing this game of chess with pawns this whole time, and he led this specific descendant, which was Ace, was a descendant of the Fenric curse.
There was a ton of them. There was a ton of them brought back there. The Russian guy, several other guys, Ace, because they were all descendants of this.
They said Ace was brought there, and then the doctor said he knew that.
And we're skipping a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff here. It's crazy. In the meantime, the doctor found a chess set, sets the chess set up, and challenges Fenric to figure it out.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. You couldn't figure out 1,700 years ago. Figure it out now. And it's an interesting board set up, mostly pawns and the kings. There might have been one other piece of the board, but I think it was mostly pawns and kings. And the doctor figures it out and challenges him. And the Fenric, Judson,
the rule of en passant and the pawns needing to work together. Jumping behind it
around there
to be able to put the king in check.
He's like, on the board. He's trying to figure it out.
Brown. First they're green, and the other eyes go brown.
Brown to red, yeah. Look at your shirt.
Brownish red. Maroon.
What a maroon.
Oh.
Okay. So much is going on here. We've skipped over so much of it. Alright. And then the doctor... so the doctor is dealing with the Cthulhu dude.
Yeah.
Well, the Fenric dude's going with the chess set. Ace comes in. Oh, the pawns were together because the one British guy and the one Russian guy were working together. Yeah. And finally he's like, I figured it out, even though he's told by Ace. Ace has three amazing moments of this. And all of them ended up helping the bad guy. Which is so sad. So weird.
It's funny.
Tragic.
Is that why the doctor...
Comic tragic.
So the doctor could have just told Ace what was going on, and then he gets mad at her for doing things like, as long as they don't figure out the logic puzzle, and she's like, I just told them the logic puzzle.
That was very true in that instance. The other instances, questionable, but that instance, very, very, very true.
So the doctor's his own greatest enemy at this point. He's just setting himself up for
sometimes
challenges. Which the doctor, by not explaining anything, even to his companion, just leaves a wake of dead people in his...
So many people dead in this. Okay. So the Russians...
His own hubris.
The Russians are pretty much all dead. There's one guy left.
One.
The Brits are pretty much all dead. There's a couple guys left. Almost no people in the village shown left.
Yeah. Kathleen gets out of Dodge with baby Audrey. And
good for them. Good for them.
Pickup truck.
So we end up with Ace.
Yeah.
She
helped create herself, which is the
predestination.
Sci-fi. Yeah.
Good movie. Oof. So eventually, the doctor convinces the Cthulhu-esque sea creature, a wolf of Fenric, that the future is his if he's not pulled back to the past to kill the present. And Ace psychically goes against this creature with her faith. The doctor realizes he has to destroy her faith so that creature can move against Fenric.
Yeah.
And he does so, and he derides her and derides her and derides her, and it's
rough scene.
Brutal to watch. Yeah. Brutal to watch. But she finally falls to her knees, losing faith in him. And then the creature, the deep, does not go against her. he goes against Fenric or Judson, pushes them into the tank where they released it against the chickens earlier.
Yeah.
And pushes a whole bomb of that into the chest of Judson / Fenric and closes the door and releases it. And they both die in the present.
Fenric is allergic to... He's killed by his own essence.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Wait.
The poison kills all, supposedly.
Even himself.
Even
his own essence. So
even the avatar of himself.
Evil essence, evil kills. Okay.
Evil does kill evil, and that's an avatar of him. And then the doctor and...
So he's still locked away from the first chess puzzle. He's never really set free. He's just...
Did we even talk about the scene where the doctor and Ace go to get the chess set from Millingham's office? But they
that
look...
was episode 4, right?
Wait, they look and they're like, oh, don't touch the pieces. Oh, it's a gas bomb. And she's like, I would have set some dynamite under the table. Yeah. Ah! They see the dynamite and they run out and they go past the bunker. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we talked about
There's
that.
There's a cute scene where they're dusting each other off.
Actually, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so the Doctor and Ace finally get away. Pretty much everyone is dead except for one captain in the British, one, I think, private in the Russians, the Doctor, Ace, and Kathleen and her daughter, Aubrey.
Yep.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of dead people.
Lots of them. Alright. War's hell. Do you have any questions for episode 4?
End of episode 4. We talked about how does Fenric know the Doctor. We talked about who Fenric really is. We talked about is the vampires just women. And then Fenric allergic to his own essence. That's it.
The scene where all the women in the secretary pool just kind of show up as vampires.
Yeah, and then they all melt off screen.
Oh, gosh, so many deaths on this. But it's in war, so this is a wartime, so it's more understandable.
So that's all the question.
What did you think of the serial?
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
A little confusing.
A little fast-paced, a little frenetic.
I thought it was up there with Ghostlight. But I think what I really like is all the Norse mythology and stuff.
Wait. You thought Ghostlight was as good as this?
I like Ghostlight. It was fun. I didn't really get what was going on. But it kept your attention.
Yeah.
Curse of Fenric was cool though. I do like Norse mythology. You ever seen Northman? Northman.
No, I haven't seen Northman.
Oh, it's good.
I've seen other Norse mythology stuff like Eric the Viking, but I haven't seen Northman. I'm much older than you.
Something Valhalla Ride to... forget the name of it. Yeah, Norse mythology stuff. Oh, did you ever play Valheim? The video game?
Briefly.
Yeah. Did you like it? I thought it was great.
Briefly.
Yeah. Did it not work well on your computer?
No, it was just... I played other things superior to it previously.
Oh, like what? Minecraft?
Yeah, and World of Warcraft.
Oh, it's nothing like World of Warcraft.
No, it's
you
more
compare
like
everything
Minecraft.
to World of Warcraft.
I do. It was great.
So you're at the point where you're like, oh, I've been there, done that. I don't want to play a new version of that game.
On a lot of things, yes. I want something new. I want something different. Not a new skin, a new meat and bones.
You want a new genre.
You
ever try like battle royales or hero shooters? Those new genres all the kids are playing.
The movie Battle Royale?
No, it's a new game type like Fortnite and PUBG. It's
I don't know those, but the movie Battle Royale is really good. It's a Japanese movie, which is a predecessor to The Hunger Games.
Isn't it a James Bond movie?
Casino Royale.
Yeah.
I am not drunk enough if I'm making that much sense. Anyway. Okay, no more questions?
Nope.
Okay.
What about
Doctor Who news?
Doctor Who news.
Okay. So the first episode of the current season was released on Saturday. It's currently Monday.
Streaming only?
No, broadcast in the United Kingdom and Ireland.
Oh.
Streaming everywhere else in the entire world. So, yes and no. Not terribly well received, but...
Really? It got bad ratings?
They're not all in as of yet, but the overnights are 2.0 million, and we'll see what the 7 days are, but it has the possibility...
Oh, you're talking about viewership?
Yes, viewership. It has the possibility of being the lowest rated Doctor Who serial or story ever.
In terms of viewers? Or
yes.
What about like the ratings, like the stars?
I don't know.
Is it certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes?
I doubt it, but I don't know. In terms of DVDs and stuff, we're getting a couple here in the next couple of months.
Do you think that's because it was bad, or because it's just losing popularity as a show?
It's losing popularity as a show because it's bad.
Oh, okay.
So, yes.
Both.
Yes. People are just done. They don't want this stuff anymore.
That doesn't bode well for the show.
Correct. There's rumors that it will be put on hiatus / canceled after the current series.
It didn't get a renewal for another season?
Not yet.
Oh.
We'll see.
That's the nail, but you think this is going to be the second cancellation of Doctor Who? Third? Second? Second.
Depends on how you count the TV movie. But
that was like a failure to launch kind of thing.
Correct, which is why I say it depends on how you count that. This may be the second cancellation, third not renewing.
Do you think it'll come back after this? If it doesn't?
Eventually, when it's done woke, hopefully. But we'll get there. We will get there. We have...
Do you think it'll take another, or however so many years? How long was it before McCoy to... Wait, began. When's he come out? His TV movie?
Alright. There's 6 years, 6.5 years between McCoy up at the top.
Yep.
And McGann right there. 6.5 years.
And then what about between him and him?
9 years.
9 years. So just under a decade. Do you think it'll take another decade for the show to come back if it gets canceled?
We'll see.
And he's the TV movie guy?
Yep.
Okay.
He was in the TV movie and one very short minisode for the 50th anniversary to help bridge the gaps.
Do you think they'll do a thing like that? After 5 years, they'll bring it back for an anniversary special?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so we had the 3 Doctors for the 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
We had the 5 Doctors for the 20th anniversary. We had what was essentially the 30th anniversary for the Adventures Space and Time. We had Scream of the Shakla, which was essentially the 40th anniversary. Not official at the time, but now more official.
Excuse me.
We had the 50th anniversary, the 60th anniversary.
Excuse me.
we should have at least something for the 70th anniversary, which will be in 33.
Oh yeah, that's coming up. So it might get canceled, come back in 33, then we have another decade, and then another revival.
This is a very unique TV show. Yeah, and tumultuous is a good word for what it does. And it comes and goes.
Anything else in Doctor Who news?
Not at the moment. I think I mentioned that I think they've got a couple animation studios working on the animations for the old stuff. And it's been such a long time between announcements that I think one of the studios might be working on the Daleks master plan.
Ooh.
And I think that might be coming up as an announcement soon.
Cool.
Just because it's been so long between them. And if we go 2.5 more months, there won't be any dates in the US or the UK. So I think they need to announce something soon. I don't know if it'll be that or what, but it's all good.
So you heard it here first, folks, or last. So stay tuned for the ultimate of McCoy and the
Survival. Next week's Survival, the last serial of McCoy.
The old stuff.
The first old stuff.
First old stuff. McGann is also old stuff?
Well, he's 20th century, so he's considered old stuff.
New old stuff.
Okay. And then we'll have a bunch of third-party stuff, the TV movie, a bunch more third-party stuff, and then finally get into the new stuff. Well, the current stuff. It might be not new stuff by the time we get to it. It might be canceled by the time we get to it.
Stay tuned.
All right. What is it?
True.
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum.